Alright, let's begin. Welcome everyone. Good to see you guys. We'll start with a review of the homework from last week. So that's starting on page 367. Okay. So basically this is graphing a line. So they've given you the first section of page 367. They've given you some like a graph paper, and they have an equation and a little table. So let's do number 3, as you have here. And the equation is minus 2 plus y equals minus x. Okay. And then they have a little table, right?
Yeah.
And you have basically x, y, and then we have if x equals 1, 2, or 3, right?
Yes.
So what you need to do is you fill in these values, right? And then you plot it on the chart, and then you draw a line through it. It's basically the way to solve these. So let me draw a line here. Okay, so that's y and x. Here's y, here's x. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. And maybe the markers for you to see it. And the negatives. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So it's like two number lines crossing each other, right? Alright, so what we do here, this one maybe is tricky because it's not in the form of y equals ax plus b, right? So what we can do, you can actually just straight up solve it anyway, or you can try to rewrite it in that format. So if I were to rewrite it in that format, how would I get y by itself on this side?
By adding.
We need to get rid of this, but we need to add to get rid of it, right? So we add 2, and whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. So we add 2 to both sides. So it becomes -2 plus y equals -x. We add 2 to both sides. These cancel. Now we have y equals -x plus 2. Pardon? Or 2 minus x, sure. I prefer to write it in this format because this is like the standard mx plus b slope format. But so now what we do is for every value of x, so if x equals 1, we could put it here or we could put it here, but let's do it here. X equals 1, so this would be y equals -1 plus 2, right? So y equals 1. Okay. Now if we do 2 in here, x is -2 plus 2, y equals 0. And if it's 3, x equals -3 plus 2, -1. Alright. So now we plot these 2 points. The first point is x is 1, y is 1. So x on the x-axis, we find 1. Here's 1. And then we go up, however much y is, also 1. So we go here. There's the point. Second one, x is 2. So here's 2. We go up 0. So it stays right on the axis. Okay. Third one, x is 3. 1, 2, 3. Y is -1. So we go down 1. There. And basically you draw the line through it. Right? I'm not going to draw it because I don't have to erase it again. But does that make sense? Everyone's clear on this? Yes. Alright, so what I'm doing is the table is asking me, it's basically the table's helping me fill in one of the points on this line. Okay? So this is a line, and to draw a line, basically you need 2 points. If you have 3 points, it makes you feel more confident about the line, so they all go through the same points, right? But 2 points is all you need. However, they're giving you 3. And you can choose the way to plot a line. If you have the equation, you can choose any value for x, and you substitute that into the equation, and it'll tell you what y is. Because this is equal, so whatever x is, y has to be a certain number that will get you to that x, right? So if x here equals 1, y has to be 1 for this to be true, right? This is minus x. If x is 1, it's minus 1. So minus 2 plus what gives me minus 1? Minus 2 plus what? So that's giving me y. I'm basically putting it in here. Or I could solve the equation and basically put in x, I put here, I'll put brackets around it. Right? So here's minus x plus 2, I put this value here, 1, and y is 1. So now that means this is this point, 1, 1. Remember you did the plotting of the coordinates last week? So x is this one, and y is this one. Alright? Same thing now we can say, okay, well what if x equals 2? So basically I said x equals 1, what if x equals 2? X equals 2, again I put it in, I would say y equals minus 2 plus 2, right? Which equals minus 2 plus 2, which equals 0. So if x equals 2, y equals 0. So I put that here. So this one is basically 2, 0, that point. Right? And the same here for 3. Y equals minus 3 plus 2. Without the brackets, minus 3 plus 2, which equals minus 1. Alright, so I put minus 1 here. And that's this point. 3 minus 1. Because always coordinate points are x, y. Right? So what we're doing is we have, since we know the equation, the way you plot it, they give you an equation, any equation, they give you an equation, you can plot it. And the way you plot it is you can do these points. Usually what I'll do is I'll start with x equals 0. To me that's the easiest one. If x equals 0, then I just have a 0 here, and y would equal 2. Right? If x was 0, then y would be 2. And that's actually what we see here. X is 0, y is 2, it's on the line. Maybe I will need a ruler. Right? And so then, because I've plotted these points, 1, 1, 2, 0, 3, minus 1, I can draw a line through them. As you see, the line would continue. Right? Any of these points are points on the line. So here, 2 and 0. So that's if x equals 2, x equals 0, y equals 2. Even here, x equals minus 1, go up, see it goes to 3. And we can try that in the equation. Y equals minus 1 plus 2. That equals minus and minus becomes plus. 1 plus 2 is 3. So that fits here. You see, any x you put, the y will give you the point on the line. What you have to imagine is actually points in between are also on this line. If x equals 1.5, y will equal, no, if x equals, 1.5, y will equal 1/2. Right? Y equals minus, I said 1.5, right? 1 and 1 over 2 plus 2, which equals minus 1.5 plus 2. That's like 1.5 plus 2 equals 1/2.
Minus half.
A half,
No, half.
which is this here,
Yeah.
in between. And you can imagine in between as well. X equals 1 3/4, y equals 1/4. X equals 1 7/8, y equals 1/8. Right? And so actually what you're imagining is this line is a series of tiny little points next to each other. Right? Until you get so far down that it's basically a seamless line. And what this line is representing the infinite relationship of whatever value x is. you go from x equals 1 to x equals 1.000001. Y will also go up by a little bit, or go down by a little bit, because change it. Right? So this is what a line is. It's actually just, we've zoomed out. If we zoom in, we see lots of tiny little dots next to each other, right?
Yeah.
That are all in the same relationship to each other. And that relationship of these dots, these x to y's, is the equation. The equation says whatever x is, y is negative that plus 2. And that describes this line. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the way we're plotting, what they're doing here with these four equations, these four questions, is they're kind of showing you, guiding you through that process. In the future, they won't tell you, they won't give you the box. You have to do it yourself. And you come up with, well, if x equals 0, what is y? If x equals 1, what is y? If x equals 2, what is y? And then you can plot it yourself. But this is just kind of like guiding you through that process. Okay. Let's do you want to do another one like these? Or shall we move on to number 5? It's okay? You understand? Alright. Where are these? Okay. Okay, I'm going to keep the graph. So number 5, oh, they give you a graph. Okay, it's got 1 here, 1 here. There's a line going through these. And this is labeled P, I think. Right? Oh no, the point is labeled P. The point is labeled P. And then we have an S over here. Right? And a T over here. Is that right? That's what we see?
Yeah, but the root is missing.
The what?
The intercept here is
Minus 2?
-2.
Here's, oh, you're right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. You are correct. The line is wrong. Because the intercept, he's quite right, the intercept is at -2. So it actually goes here. And P is still this one, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of cuts, yeah. Cuts like this. This is not the best ruler. Keeps. You have a ruler? Oh, perfect. Yeah, pass that for it. Thank you. I'll make sure to give it back to you. I think the marker you can just wipe it if it gets on there. Okay, so this is P here. And as Imad noticed, the intercept crosses the y at -2. That's what we called, last week we talked about, this is the y-intercept. Alright, so let's look at the questions. Number 5 says, the graph of the equation y equals 1 over 4x will pass through which of the following pairs? So y equals 1 over 4x. So the first thing I think when I look at this is there's no intercept. You see that? There's no plus anything.
Yeah,
So that means if x equals 0, what does y equal? 0, right? I always start with 0.
Yeah.
0 is the easiest because it like cancels out whatever's in front of y. You basically get the intercept. X equals 0 is the y intercept. It's wherever it crosses this point. So if x equals 0, y equals 1 over 4 times 0, which equals 0. So that means the point 0, 0 is on this line, right? So let's look at this one. Are any of our options, do they have the point 0, 0? Do any of the others have 0, 0?
No.
No. Boom, it's point C. Right? Thanks to it being a multiple choice question. If you had 2 with point 0, 0, then you would have to try the other points. Right? But this one we see 0, 0, none of the others. We know from here it's 0, 0, so therefore we know it's C. And you can move on. But let me just go through the other ones as well, right? So we have S over here. What is the coordinate of S?
Minus 4.
-4 is the x, that's right, and what's the y? It's a bit hard to see. Look in your book.
Minus 1.
-1? Yeah, it's down 1. You can look in your book. I tried to imitate the book. The book is a little bit easier to see, I think. Yeah, so S is -4 minus 1. And what is T? 4? 1, that's right. 4 and 1. X is 4, Y is 1. Alright, so let's see if S and T are on here. So let's try S. We have X is -4, right? So I'll put it over here. S, X equals -4, Y equals 1 over 4 times -4, right? So Y equals what? Equals -1. So Y equals -1. -4 minus 1? Yes, it's correct. So S is on this line, which may make you rethink whether your answer was correct, right? Because it says T and 0, 0. Well, let's try T. T, X is 4, right? So that means Y equals 1 over 4 times 4. What is 1 over 4 times 4?
1.
Equals 1. And T, that's correct. So that means S and T are on the line. So it's a bit of a tricky question, right? But there's only one that's correct for those 2 points, which is T and 0. So we know it's C. But if maybe S wasn't correct, maybe S was on like -2 over here or something, then you could eliminate it. Maybe it had S and 0, 0 and T and 0, 0, but S was the wrong one. Then you'd have to do this to figure it out.
I did this, that's why this was my question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did all this and I confused.
It threw you off. Yeah.
0, 0 and then everything was right.
Yeah. So you can think of a question. Let me say, you could say like very simple, right? In the parking lot, there are 2 blue cars, right? And if there's 1 blue car and 1 red car, it's wrong. Even though one of the cars is right, right? So even though T is correct, it doesn't mean the other option, or S is correct. It doesn't mean for A and B the other options are right. So it kind of like threw you off because one of the options was correct. But that's why I went straight for 0, 0. Because for me that's every time I see an equation, I just do X equals 0. What's my Y? Right? And that can give me 1 point. And then if I have to plot another point, I can find another point. I'll do 1 or 2 or -1 or something. But that's basically how you plot an equation here. Let's do number 6. Number 6 says P is the graph of which of the following equations? So now we actually have to figure out the equation for p. Now, we learned in the next section how to do this. You find the slope and the y-intercept and this sort of thing. And we're going to be doing that more today, some more lessons on it. But based on the graph, what we can look at is here at P, can you read what that point is?
Minus 1, 2.
So P is minus 1, 2. And the other point is, as Imad told us, right? The y-intercept. What is this one? What's the coordinate for this point?
This is 0 minus
0 minus 2.
1.
0 minus 2. So we have 0 minus 2. Okay. So actually, from here, you can do a slope, which is what the next problem was. But on this, at this stage, they didn't actually even expect you to know it. So what you could do is you could plug into the equations they give you as the options, and you can figure out which one is correct, which one's wrong. All right? So we can do, and there's different ways of solving these. So I'm happy with doing it this way. It's kind of like the word problem one, right? Where you say, well, let's just try this one. Is this option correct? Yes or no? So for A is 4x minus 1. Okay, so let's start with this. Pardon? Plus 1? Plus 1. Okay. If x equals 0, sorry, let me put that better. Y equals 4x plus 1. So x equals 0, y equals 1. That's not correct. So it's not A. You can also do it with the p point. You could say minus 1 and 2 and solve it. But I find it so much easier to just do it with 0. Right? So let's try B. B is y equals what?
Negative 4x.
Negative 4x minus 1. X equals 0. What does y equal?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. Also no. No, no. Let's try C. Y equals what? 4x plus 2. Y equals 0?
Y equals
2. Is that correct?
2.
It's minus 2. Right? So not C. Then we do D. Y equals minus 4x minus 2. Well, we know it has to be D because the other one's not right. 0 and minus 2. So it's D. Okay? So that's one of the ways you could do it. Just substitute in each one. One of the other things I could do,
If I do the formula,
the formula is y equals mx plus b. And b is my y-intercept. And you can see from the graph the y-intercept is minus 2. So which one of these has minus 2? D. Boom. There's your answer. Yeah, that's the quickest way. Yeah, you know the formula, and you can see the y-intercept. You can just look at which one has that. Yeah, absolutely. Much faster to do it that way. I just like to do all the different ways so you can kind of get a feeling for how the math is working. B equals minus 2, therefore D. Okay. That is B. Y-intercept. Okay. Let's try number 7 as well. Number 7 is not related to this chart. So I'll take a picture. Now before I take a picture, let me just do some of the stuff from later. So if we had these 2 points, this is not related to the question, you know it's D. But if we had these 2 points, you can actually solve the equation without seeing the chart, right? And that is, what we do, is we say we don't know what the slope is, right? So m, do you remember, the form is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Because this represents the rise over the run. So the rise is the change in y, so the difference between them. And the run is the change in x, the difference between the two x's. Right? So we started here, The rise is actually falling, it's going down. And the run is going across this way. Right? So then we can take those 2 points. M equals y2. What's y2 over here? It's minus 2. And what's y1? 2. So that's minus 2 as well. I'll put that in brackets. Minus 2, minus 2. What is x2? 0. What is x1? So minus 1. Okay, do you see that? I'm just substituting, I put brackets around each one. So each number we can see exactly, because you have to watch out these negatives. That's why I'm putting the brackets around. Okay, so minus 2, minus 2. Let's just finish the brackets. So minus 2, minus 2, and over here it's 0, minus 1, minus
1.
plus 1. Okay, so now they're out of the brackets. And now we can solve it. M equals, what's minus 2 minus 2?
Minus 4.
Minus 4 over 1, which equals minus 4. Okay, so now we have M. And if I didn't actually have this one, I know B is minus 2. So I can straight up get to this equation, right? But if I didn't have it, this is what I'm going to be teaching you today. Okay, but yeah.
Y1 is not minus 2. Just 2.
This one or here?
Yeah.
Because y1 is this point here,
Yeah.
and this point it's 2.
The formula
See, this is y2,
okay,
this is
okay,
y2,
okay.
this is y1.
Okay.
So I'm subtracting a positive 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now m is minus 4. So one thing we could do, I know already the 0, so I have the intercept. That's actually the easiest way. But say I didn't have the equation, and I didn't have the line. One of the things we can do is we know, we go back to our formula, y equals mx plus b. Alright, let's say we only have this point. Now we know m, right? You can take any of those points and substitute them in for the x and the y. Alright? So we can say m equals minus 4, y equals 2, and x equals minus 1. 2 and minus 1. Okay? And I substitute that into the equation. So y here is 2, m is minus 4, so minus 4 times x is minus 1 plus b. And now I solve for b, because b is the only unknown. Okay? So here we have 2 equals, what's minus 4 times minus 1? 4. 2 equals 4 plus b. I need to get the b by itself. I need to get rid of this 4. What do I do? Subtract 4 from both sides. Yeah. 2 minus 4?
Minus 2.
Minus 2 equals b. So there. That's the lesson. And I'll teach you that more, but that's how you can find the slope. From any 2 points or anything you can get into the y equals mx plus b. So now we have b and we have m. So since this is our formula, y equals minus 4 for the m, x, minus 2 for the b. It's pretty cool stuff actually, right? And it works with our lines. This is called the Cartesian plane, by the way. Named after a mathematician in Europe. His name was René Descartes. You may have heard of him as a philosopher. He's the one who said, what was it? I think, therefore I am. Have you heard that phrase? Je pense, je suis. He's kind of like, he had this like mental crisis. He was like, how do I know that I am myself? And he like crawled into an oven and he sat there for like 3 days. And then he eventually realized, I know I'm myself because I'm thinking. The fact that I'm thinking these doubts about whether I am myself proves to myself that I am existing. So he's one of these people I think he thought too much. It can get you in trouble sometimes.
He is one of the most clever.
Yeah, he's one of the like known sort of very intelligent sort of philosophers, but he also did some mathematics, and he came up with putting the two in a chart like that. Yeah, so that's why it's called a Cartesian plane.
In Arabic it's called a Hassel.
Oh, Hassel Cartesian? Oh, Hassel.
Yes,
Cartesian. Okay, but still Cartesian. So it's like the plane. Does Hassel mean like a flat
Yes.
something?
There is one more, you know, these 2 points in the brackets.
Mm-hmm.
In a definition of al-hasr al-tartibi, they said that al-hasr al-tartibi must هي المجموعة التي عناصرها أزواج مركب. These two points in a where is called word مركب.
Okay. What does it mean? No, if you transliterate it, what does it mean? Alright, let's do number 7.
We are here.
Alright. You know what, we're not doing this for now. I'll do this later. We'll do number 7. And it says point C is located, point C, at -3, 5, right? A graph of which of the following equations would pass through point C? So we have to do the same thing. You put each one in and solve and make sure it works, right? So A is what? 3x
Plus 2y
plus 2y equals 5. Okay, so we put everything in. X is -3. 3 times -3 plus 2 times 5. That equals, what's 3 times -3?
minus 9
-9. What's 2 times 5? 10, right?
not equal.
Plus 10. That equals 1. Doesn't equal 5. So not A. Alright, let's try B. What's the equation for B? 2x plus 3y equals 9. Okay. And again, we plug it in, right? So 2 minus 3 plus 3 times 5. So this was 2 times -3. Minus 6 plus 15. It does equal 9. It does. Minus 6 plus 15
Oh yes.
equals
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
Correct. So B. We don't need to go on. Okay? These ones are always better if the answer is A or B, right? If it's D, you have to do 4. If it's A, you only do 1. If it's B, you do 2.
Sometimes it's something that's very easy, you know, you get mistakes. It's
Yeah, I
very
understand. I
easy.
do that too. Alright, any questions on this? How to do this exercise? Okay. Let's move on to the next page. Just take a picture here.
If they're giving this as the equations,
Yes.
the only one point, even by the formula, we will not be able to find maybe the slot or something like that.
You always need more than just one point. If they give you the equation, you can test if this point is on the equation. Because they're giving you the equation. But if they give you just one point, you can't find the line. You need either 2 points or a point and a slope. Those are like the things you need to know what the equation is. And now we're going to talk about slope. So that's the next page, page 369. And you guys had difficulties with 8, 10, and 12. So it means the first ones you were okay with. 1 through 9 was fine, it made sense? Yeah? Fine, let's do one of them? Yeah. Okay, so let's do number 2. Right? Number 2 has a graph here. Like this. And it has a point, see, looks like -1, 3 here. And another point, 1, 1 here. Alright.
1 is minus 1.
This is here. There. And it has a line going through it. and they say find the slope, right? So what we need to do is basically we look at this point. You can do it two ways. One way you'd use the formula, right? N equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you need to find out what are your 2 points, right? And you know, actually it doesn't matter which one you make 2 and which one you make 1. That's the nice thing of this formula. It doesn't matter if this is x1, this is 1, or this is 1. The slope will still be the same. Okay? So here we have this one looks like it's minus 1 and 3, right? So minus 1, 3. And what does this one look like?
1 minus 1.
1 minus 1. Alright, so we can substitute it in. Another thing we can do is we can count, right? How many does it go down and how many does it go across? Right? Because it's rise equals rise over run, right? So the run is, we go from here, 1, 2. Right? So run equals 2, going this way. And rise, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it up or down? Down. So it's minus 4. So rise equals minus 4. Okay? So therefore the slope equals minus 4 over 2, which is minus 2. That's one way you can do it just from counting, because they've given you the graph, so you can kind of count it nice and easily. Alright? So you do rise is here, and run is here. Right? So this is rise, and this is run. Alright, so you can just count them. And if it's going down, you go from here this way, because the run is always going to be positive then. You go this way, and it's 2 is the run, and the rise you've gone down, so it's negative. Right? And you can see, a slope is a measure of how quickly something increases or decreases. Right? So here it's going down fast. Right? So it's high, it's 2, and it's negative. If it's going like this, it'll be positive, so it's going up. It's increasing. If it's negative, it's a decreasing. And negative is a decreasing slope, positive is an increasing slope, always. So you think about it, if you're going this way, am I going down the mountain or going up the mountain? If I'm going up the mountain, my slope will be positive. If I'm going down the mountain, my slope will be negative. That's something just in your mind. Whenever you calculate a slope, you can see from the chart, is it a negative or positive? You can come down, am I going down the mountain or going up the mountain? As I go this way, from left to right. Alright, or we could do this, use this formula. So in this formula, we have our 2 points. So m equals x2, so that's, y2, minus 1, minus here, it's 3. And on the bottom, the x2 is 1, and minus 1, minus 1. Right? So I'll put minus 1, minus 3. Here we go. So that becomes minus 1, minus 3 over 1 plus 1. Because negative becomes positive. So this becomes negative 4 over 2, which is where we are here. Right? And that equals minus 2. This formula is just a way of formally stating rise over run. Right? This one's like a nice formula because you can be sure of what's happening. But it's basically the exact same, it's just a way of doing this. Because the rise is the difference between these two. Right? The difference between these points is how much has it gone up. Right? If I started at 2, and went up by 4, 4 minus 2 will give me how much I changed. Right? It's a difference. And so remember, when we do differences or negatives, so that's what a rise is, and the run is the same.
So
Yes.
the answer is minus 2.
The answer is minus 2.
When we count from rise to run, right?
Yes.
So if we just go from like minus 2 and then plus according to 4, it can be right to run, right?
if you did minus 2,
Just when it counts from negative to positive.
you mean if you're going this way?
Yeah, from -2, and then go up.
But your run is negative, so.
I know, yeah.
So you could say we're doing minus 2
Then,
and then up 4.
then,
So it'd be 4 over minus 2
yeah,
is what?
it can be right or
Still minus 2. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to go this way, you can do that.
yeah.
But then you have to remember your run is negative.
I know, but
Yeah.
here, like first one,
Because it doesn't actually matter which one you make
but
2
here
and 1.
you put first like -4 over 2, right?
I did, yes.
Because you count from.
So I started here.
So if you start from.
If I start here, it'll be the same though.
Also no problem.
Yeah, it's fine.
You can put like 4 over 2.
If you want to do that, but you have to remember
Negative.
that your run is negative because you're going backwards. Alright? So that means that you are increasing
Yeah.
in slope, but you're decreasing in your run. You're going back. You're going back up the mountain. The slope doesn't change. You're going back up the mountain. It's still a downhill. Yeah. So it does, and that's the same as if I wanted 1 to be this point, then I would do, so say I said this one was 1, right? And this one was 2, right? But let's say if I switched them. Let's say we made this one 1, and this one 2. Then m would equal y is -1. No, we did that one already. Oh, sorry. So I made this one 2. This is what you're saying. I start at this point and I go back. So this one's 1, this one's 2. Okay. So m equals 3 minus 1 over, let's see, 2 minus 1 minus 1. Alright, because x1 is now this one, minus 1. So that equals 3 plus 1 over -2, which equals 4 over -2, which still gives me -2. Alright? It doesn't matter which point you choose. It'll be the same. Because it's a relationship. So don't worry, that is fine. I just normally do left to right. Okay.
Do that.
We have here. The next one. Let's do one of these other ones. Let's do number. Before we do 11, we'll do number 8. You guys had that up here. Yeah, number 8. So number 8, what it's asking you is it says, use the slope formula to find the slope of a line that passes through these. So you just want to find the slope. So we have 1 and 4, right? And -2, -2, -2, -2. Okay, and our slope formula, whoops, is m y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And again, it doesn't matter which one you use as long as you're consistent. Okay? So we'll say this is 1 and this is 2. Fine. So m, what is y2? -2. This one, right? What is y1? 4. I'm going to put it in brackets just so we can be clear what we're doing. Okay. What is x2? Also -2. Minus, and that is 1. We'll put that in brackets. Okay. So now it's outside of brackets, -2 minus 4, -2 minus 1. Okay, what is -2 minus 4? -6. And that's -2 minus 1 is -3, right? -3. So -6 over -3, negatives cancel, that is 2. That's right. That equals 2. M equals 2. That's the answer. It's basically just using this formula. And this formula will be on your sheet. You will have this in the test. I encourage you to memorize it, because it's a useful formula for math in general. But you can find it, you can probably even Google slope formula, right? And it'll be the first thing that pops up. But you'll also have it on your sheet. It's kind of funny, like nowadays, it's still good for you to learn these things, but with the internet, it's so easy to get a lot of information. You just have to know what you're looking for, right? So you need to know this is the slope. You can search for it. But this will be on your sheet, so you can always use it. And like I said, it doesn't matter which one you choose for 2, which one you choose for 1. Just as long as you choose this one for 2, you need to put it here and here. And 1 is here and here. Alright. What else do we have? Number 10. Oh boy. All these graphs. So actually, I'm not going to draw this graph, because you guys can see it, and it's a lot here. So I think we're just going to talk it through. Okay? Number 10. Yeah, we'll draw rough. We have like a line, one here. There's this one here. We have, this is X and Y. And we have this one coming like this. And we have this one coming like that, right? C, B, A, and D. Alright. And what it wants to know, in this confusing jumble, is which one has a slope of -1/3. Okay. So, look at all these graphs. We have A, B, C, and D. And since the slope is -1/3, what did I tell you a negative slope means? It goes down, right? Downhill. Which one of these lines is going down? A. Or any of the others going down? No. A. Alright? We can look at it, we can do other things, we can put in like points and stuff to check it if you want. If you look at A, you see it intercepts the y-axis at -1. Do you see that? And it intercepts the x-axis at x equals -3, right? So you can check if you're unsure that A has, for x equals 0, y equals -1, and for y equals 0, x equals -3. No. Yeah, for x equals, y equals 0, x equals -3. Alright? So if you want, that would be equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You guys see this? I got 0 and -1 for A. You see it crosses the line there. So that this point here where it crosses the line is x is 0, y is -1. You see that? And then if we go across to where it crosses the x line, you see it's x is 0, y is 0, x is -3. Yeah, so that's -3 and 0. So I know these 2 points are on that line. So then this equals y2 is 0 minus 1 over x2 is -3 minus 0. -1 is 1 over -3, which equals -1/3. So it's good. If you wanted to check it. But you don't need to check it because all you need is which one is negative. Only one is negative. If it was a positive one, if it was between B and D, then what I would say is D looks like it's going up not as fast as B, right? B is steeper. So that means the slope on B will be higher than the slope on D. And C, this actually here, 0. Yeah, the slope is 0. It's flat. There is no rise. Okay? So the equation for this is y equals, what is it? It's 1, 2, 3. Y equals 3. The equation for C is y equals 3. That's the equation. So what it's saying is whatever x is, doesn't matter, y will always be 3. So it's just y equals 3 is actually the equation. So that's what a constant looks like, this line, flat line. Alright? And if you had a line this way, it's undefined. Right? There's not defined equation for it. Because you're trying to divide by 0. Infinity, yeah. And you can see it goes up to infinity, right? So, yeah. So let's see, I think number 12 you also asked for?
Yeah.
Let me take pictures of these. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Let's see here. Take a picture. So we can take a break and then we'll do number 12 when we come back. And we'll start the lesson, the new material. So in the back of your book, well not the back, on page 413, you'll see all your formulas. 413. You see here it has algebra. It actually has data, that's from earlier when we talked about median and mean. So that actually gives you a nice definition of them. But here it has slope of a line, which we've already done, right? We've learned this formula, so this will be there. And today we're going to learn these two, slope intercept and point slope form of the equation. Okay? And then we have the quadratic equation, and the quadratic formula is also there. Alright, let's just do number 12 first, and then we can get on to those lessons. So, number 12, on page 369, says L passes through point 1, 0, right? And has a slope of 3. Okay, the slope of 3. If this were 0, 1, it would be easy because we'd have the y-intercept already, right? X equals 0, but we don't. So now, the next lesson I'll teach you how to use the formula to find this. But there's another way you can think about it, which is, remember the slope is rise over run, right? So whatever it is, you can write it, if it's a positive, if it's not a fraction, you can write it as a fraction by putting it over 1. So that means m equals 3 over 1, right? Which means it has a rise of 3 over a run of 1. That's one way you can think about it. If it was a fraction, it's like 1 over 3, then we already have 1 is the rise and 1 is the 3. Okay? But here we have 3 and 1. And we're starting, alright? Imagine we're starting at 1, 0. Right? So if we have a rise of a run of 3 over 1, it means for 1 across, we go up 3. Like that, right? So you can kind of think of it this way. And you see, alright. Pardon?
X is 0.
X is 1, and y is 0 here. So this is 1, 0. Okay? And we know the rise is 3 for every 1 across. Right? So the next point is actually 2, 3. Right? And now we know this point, we can find the formula for it. The other thing we can look at, and what's formula, right? No, which of the following points also lies on line L? Ah, so they're just solved it. Right? Which point is this? Of the 4. C. The 4 options you have. C. There's 2, 3. Right? It's asking which point lies on the line. There's another way you could do it, which is the solve each one. Right? So this is, I like this way because it's kind of like just thinking about what is the slope. Right? But the other way you could do it is we say, okay, A we have points 0 and 3. Alright, so if m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, if it's 0 and 3, this will be y1, this will be y2, right? So it'll be 3 minus 0 over 0 minus 1, which equals 3 over negative 1, which equals negative 3. Not correct. Okay? And you do B the same way. Right? B is 1, 3. 1 and 3. Same formula. So it equals, this time it's still 3 minus 3. No. Sorry. 3 minus 0 over 1 minus 1. Can't divide by 0. No, you can't have 0 on the bottom. It's an infinite slope. Then it would be the straight line basically going through here. So it's over here actually. So yeah, it would be a straight line. So undefined. C. C was what? 2, 3? 2 and 3. So then M equals y2 is this one, 3 minus 0 over 2 minus 1, which equals 3 over 1, which equals 3. So it's C. Right, so that's the way you can do it using the formula and given the answers that you have. And that's probably the way they intended you to do it. So I like kind of thinking through what is slope. If you actually have a plot and you have the slope, and you have any point, you can kind of just plot it by what is the rise and what is the run. So I want us to kind of intuitively understand these as well. Just kind of think about them, understand them in our minds. Any questions on that problem? Wait, let me put no, infinity, no, correct. Okay? You know this sign? For infinity? Yeah? You can keep going around and around and around. It never stops. Yeah? The average for it?
There in the front of the right?
Oh yeah, Mizrahi Bank has the infinity sign?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're trying to give you positive associations with their bank. Right? You put your money here, will turn into infinite money. Alright, so let's go on to the next lesson, which is kind of we've been doing already. I'm trying to say finding the formula for an equation. Okay? And there's two ways to do that. One is what's called the slope-intercept form. Right, and that's the one we already know. Y equals mx plus b. I would say that's the one we know and love. And the second one is called the point slope formula. Formula or form? Form. And that is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? So these are two formulas. I'll put a box around them. These are formulas. Right? And they're in the back of your book on page 413. Not in the back, sorry. Just on the back of the math section. Okay, so the formulas are on page 413. Alright, so we have these two. And basically, what you can do with these is it's a way of saying, if I know one point and the slope, I use these formulas to solve what is the equation. Right? So say for example, I have the point is -1, -4, and the slope is 3. Okay? So they give you one point and the slope. This is kind of exactly the problem we had in number 12, right? But now we're just going to solve it, because you don't have multiple choice. This is how to actually solve this problem. So we can solve it two ways. The first way, using the slope-intercept form. Basically what we say is, this is x, y, right? And m. We have these, and we need to find b. So y equals mx plus b. Here we have x is -1, y is -4, and m is 3. So we substitute all those things in. Y is -4 over here. What is m? 3. And what is x? -1 plus b. And we solve for b. Okay? So this is -4. What's 3 times -1? -3 plus b. Okay, how do we get? Pardon? We add plus 3? Yeah. So we add 3. So if we add, I'm just going to do it. Plus 3 plus 3. What's -4 plus 3? -1 equals b. So b equals -1. So we put that back into the formula. So y equals, what is m? 3x. What is b? -1. Yeah, there's our formula. I think that's pretty straightforward, right? It's the same method you use. However, whatever form you get it, you do that. If you have a graph and you need to look at the graph to find the formula, to find the point, you find the point. If you need to count the slope, you can count it. Yes, Imran.
Y equals 3x minus 1.
Mm-hmm.
For what is 3x?
So it's mx, y equals mx plus b. And I've already told you the slope is 3.
Okay.
So that's where the 3 is coming from. And we've just solved for b. So that's where this is coming from. This is m, and this is b. Alright? Every formula, there's basically you need an m and a b. The slope and the y-intercept, and you can write the formula. And the y-intercept is that point where it crosses the y-axis. Sometimes it's a fraction. Okay, there's ones they even give you a nice, and they're crossing it on exact numbers. But a lot of times it's a fraction. It doesn't cross the y-intercept at a nice number. And so b is something weird, or like 7 over 13 or something. That doesn't solve nicely. Alright, we'll take a picture of that, and we'll try it the other way too. Alright, so now we will try the second one, the point slope point. Okay, so the second type. And there, we have y1 and x1, we put these points in. So basically write this formula as y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And here, we have x1, y1 is our point, and m. And that equals minus 1 minus 4, right? And m equals 3. We substitute these things in. So here we say y minus 4 equals 3 times x minus 1. Do you see that? I'm just putting in what I have from the point and what I have from the slope. And then we solve. Now we're not going to be able to solve for x and y. We just need to simplify it into terms of x and y. Right? Until we have our equation format again. So we have it in something as x, y equals something x plus b. So, what is minus 4? Plus 4 equals 3 times x minus 1 plus 1. Alright, we're going to keep this one because we need to do, I'm using the PEMDAS, remember? So we'll do this first, brackets first. So y plus 4 equals 3 times x, 3x plus 3, that's right. Okay, now since I wanted this format, I want y by itself on that side, right? So how do I get y by itself on this side?
Minus 4.
I subtract 4 from both sides. Oops. Minus 4. So here I get just y, and here I get 3x, and 3 minus 4 is minus 1, which is the same what we got before. You see? So both of them work. Practically, when you're doing it, you can choose whichever one you want. Personally, I like this one because it's simpler, right? Like, it's easier for me to remember. Yeah. And I also like that I know exactly where it crosses the y line using this one. This one is just kind of a cool formula because you basically do one, you substitute it in and you get the formula immediately. You don't then have to go back and put m and b back into it. You just put those pieces in, and you don't even have to worry about b. All you're worrying about is m. So either one, they have their merits. Any questions on this? I'll do another example. Okay, so this time we have the point is 6 and 1, and the slope is, I'll just do equals, negative 1 over 2. Okay? Negative 1 over 2. So we'll do the first one. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? Substitute it. What is y? Y is 1 equals what is m?
M
Minus 1 over 2 times 6. I'll put them both in brackets. Everything can be in brackets since we're substituting. Plus b. And now I solve for b. Right? Okay, so 1 is 1. Right? What is minus 1 over 2 times 6? Minus 3, right? Because 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that equals minus 3 plus b. Alright, now I want b by itself. So what do I have to do? Not divide, b doesn't have a coefficient. I need to add 3 to both sides. Yeah. Add 3. Okay, so what's 1 plus 3? 4. B equals 4. Alright? Then we put them back in, right? So y equals, what is m?
M is minus
Yeah, they give it to us. M is minus a half x plus b. What is b?
B4 plus 4.
Plus 4. There we go. There's our formula. You see how it works? I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll do this the same problem, but with this one. So now we'll do the second way. 2, we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? And the reason they're writing this is because the y and the x are the general for the formula. And the y1 and the x1 are the specific points. Right? In this formula, I'm saying this relationship is true, so I can put in whatever the point is for y and for x. But here I'm keeping y and x as variables because I'm just wanting to get the equation itself. That's why they write it in this format. So let's just do this. What is y1?
1.
So y1 is 1. What is m?
Minus half.
Minus 1 over 2 times x minus
Minus
6. Okay. So we solve this. We'll get rid of this bracket. Y minus 1. What is minus 1 over 2 times x?
6. Minus half x
Minus half x, right? It's just,
plus 3
and then this one, minus 1 over 2 times negative 6
plus 3.
plus 3, right? All right. Now we want to get y by itself on this side. That's the key thing when you're doing point slope form. You plug them in and then you solve. You do whatever you can to get y by itself. You still want it to be in this format in the end. So to get y by itself, you have to divide by y by something or whatever. We add 1, right? Add 1 to each side. So that means leaves us with a y, negative 1 over 2x plus 4. That's it. Any questions? I think this is pretty clear. Yeah, good. Then you guys will have no trouble on the homework. Well, I'm giving you another page as well, so we'll see how that goes. I think you will not. I think this will not be too difficult. I actually quite enjoy the plotting part of algebra. It's sort of more visual. Okay, so that's the solving for formula of an equation. Now what I want to talk about a little bit with slope is that it can be a way, we can talk about slope as a way of expressing a relationship between two things. Okay? So I'm going to erase this and I'll talk about that next point. So do you remember way back in the beginning of the class when we did a ratio, right? Yeah. We did like a ratio is like 3 to 1, right? And what's another way that we could write a ratio? 3 over 1. We could write it as a fraction. Or 3 over 1. Okay? So if we have something that's like this, it's a relationship of one thing to another. Right? Now if you look at our formula, right? Our slope is rise over run. Okay? So it's kind of like rise ratio to run. You see that? So what you can do is you can actually visually show a ratio using a graph. Okay? So, say for example, I know we have, say we have like a relationship of, see, it's not here, but say we had like 8 men to 2 women, right? So the relationship is 8 over 2, which is 4 over 1. What you could look at is you could kind of see it as a chart, like this, and that means you're starting at 0, and for every 1 woman, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 men. Alright? Every 2 women, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. And it's like a line. Oops, I missed my drawing. You understand. It's like a line that shows. And so that way you can kind of look from here you can see if I have 5 men, you can just draw a line up to here, sorry, 5 women. It would be 20 men. Because it's following this ratio. Okay? So we can kind of express it this way. So say, for example, you want to find out your average walking speed. Okay? Let's see, like, how long does it take you on average to walk somewhere? Alright? So what you do is you say, you take some records. Right? So you'll say, my first time, I walked for 1 hour, right? And I did 2 kilometers in 1 hour. Maybe it's slow, maybe it's fast. Not sure. Then the next time, you say, all right, it took me 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours, and I walked 5 kilometers. Okay? So what we can do is you can plot this on a chart. Now, because these are positive ones, and actually, you can imagine there's more here, right? But we only do this top piece. So we're only doing the positive side of the Cartesian equation. Okay? So I say here we have kilometers. No, actually it's the other way around. Here we have hours, and here we have kilometers. Okay? So I plot 1 is 2 kilometers, right? So here's 1 point. 2.5 is 1, 2.5. And that one's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 6. And this is 1, 2, 3. Okay? So I can describe this. Here. Using a line. And I can look for the slope of the line, and that'll give me the relationship, right? So the slope of the line is saying, pardon? So the slope of the line, I can say we have 1, 2, 2.5, and 5. Alright? So slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That equals y2 is 5 minus 2 over 2.5 minus 1, right? That equals 3 over 1.5. Does anyone know what that is? 3 divided by 1.5? You can do it on your calculator. Pardon?
3 divided by 1.5?
Yes. It's 2. 1.5 times 2 will get you 3. So this equals 2. So my relationship is therefore 2 kilometers per hour. I walk at a rate of 2 kilometers per hour. It's showing me my relationship of the rate. Now you could just do 2 over 1, and it'll give you 2. So I find this section a little bit funny, because you really could just do these and divide it to get your relationship. But they're wanting to show you it's kind of like the slope is like a relationship. And so part of what it is that if you draw a graph like this, you can read the graph and instantly tell what a value will be. So you want to say, okay, walking at this pace, how far will I go in 5 hours? And you can just read it up to 10, right? Or how far will I go? Maybe these are easy numbers. Maybe it's not as easy a number. Or how long will it take me to walk 6? Go across here. It'll take you 3. Yeah? So you can kind of see using the graph. This is an example of the unit slope as a unit rate. Let me give you another example. I'm going to take a picture. Okay, say for example, you are standing in line at a shopping something, and an employee from that store, in front of you are 3 employees from the store, okay? And you notice that the first employee, she's buying a dress, and her dress costs 100 shekels, right, so that's on the tag. And she only paid 75. Okay? The next employee, their dress, or their shirt, their jeans or something like that, it costs, let's see, it costs 120, and they only paid 80. Oh no, 90 of it, 90. And then you go up to pay, and you pay the full amount. And you're wondering, what is the discount that employees are getting? What's the amount that they're getting? And what you can do is you can use these points to find a slope, and the slope will tell you what the discount is. Okay? So you can say, this is now, we have, let's see, if it's 100 75, right? And this one is 120 and 90. So we can find the slope can tell us the relationship between these things. Okay. So it's going to be 90 minus 75 over 120 minus 100. Okay, what is 90 minus 75? 15. What is 120 minus 100? 20. Okay, 15 over 20. What's that? 3 over 4, right? Because there's a 5, common 5 in each one. So that equals 3 over 4. So what you could imagine is drawing a graph like this. Right? And here we're going to do every 20. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, etc. Okay? And here also 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Okay, so this is price, and this is employee discounts. Alright? So it's 3 over 4. So that means we have here 100, right? And they paid 75. So we go up to about 60, that's 70, 75 is here. Right? And here they paid, it was 120, and they paid 90, which is in between here. Right. It's a good sign, it goes to 0. There. Right, so you see this line. So you say, I want the employee discount, yours costs 40. I want the employee discount, and therefore I expect to pay 20, or it's in between, it's 35. Or 30, it's 30. I expect to pay 30. You can read anywhere on this chart, you can just find whatever it is and you can see what your discounted price should be. Do you see that? Does this make sense, what they're trying to do here? And the slope is 3 over 4. So we go up 3, right? 1, 2, 3. We go across 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the rise is 3 over 4. Any questions on that? Alright, so you'll have some questions about that on the next pages. They've got a bunch of charts for you to draw in and plot. And we're going to stop there because the next one I want to spend a little more time on. So do you have any questions what we've been doing?
That's fine.
Alright, have a good evening. I'll see you next week.